Before we begin, viewer discretion is strongly advised. What you're about to hear is graphic, disturbing, and very real. On day 17 of the federal trial against music mogul Sean "Diddy" Combs, something happened no one expected. A familiar figure stepped into the courtroom, not another music executive, not a bodyguard or victim. It was actor George Clooney. Not for a film role, not for a press conference, but to testify under oath. The gallery murmured. The judge looked stunned. What unfolded next left everyone in the room speechless. Clooney wasn't there to speak about Hollywood, philanthropy, or politics. He was there to lift the curtain on a world the public was never meant to see. A world of rituals, secrecy, threats, and something even darker. What he revealed will make you question everything you thought you knew about celebrity power, silence, and fear. This is not fiction. This is not a dramatization. This is what George Clooney said, in his own words, under oath. And it just changed everything. The courtroom was filled with media, fans, and observers when the judge called the next witness. Everyone expected another insider from the music industry. But when the doors opened and George Clooney walked in, dressed in a dark suit, the entire room shifted. Even the stenographer hesitated. Clooney, Hollywood's golden boy, humanitarian icon, was about to take the stand. His hands were steady, but his face was tight. He avoided eye contact with Diddy. Slowly, he raised his right hand and took the oath. When asked to speak, his voice was low but firm. "I never imagined I'd be here," he began. "But there are things I've seen, things I can't carry anymore." He explained how he first got pulled into Diddy's orbit over a decade ago. Parties, private retreats, and then more cryptic invitations. At first, it felt exclusive, almost glamorous. Then, in 2013, things changed. He received a blank card with GPS coordinates and a time, 2 a.m., no sender. Then came a text, "Follow the coordinates, wear black, no phone." Clooney followed. Clooney described how a black SUV picked him up and drove through side streets and industrial zones. Eventually, they pulled into the parking garage of a family-friendly theme park. "Millions of families visit this park every year," Clooney said. "But few know what lies beneath." A security door opened near a loading bay marked "Employees Only." From there, he was guided down a winding corridor lit by flickering lights. He passed silent guards who seemed to recognize him without speaking. Eventually, he stood in front of a reinforced hatch. When it opened, he stepped into a vast underground chamber carved into rock. Ambient lighting pulsed to music like a heartbeat. Celebrities and politicians in luxury robes sipped from golden cups. But what chilled him most were the people at the center, those with no arms or legs. They were referred to casually as nuggets. No one flinched at the term. Clooney's voice cracked. They weren't just there. They were part of it. The centerpiece. He said he tried to ask what was happening. Someone smiled and said, "They volunteered. It's part of the fun." Before being allowed deeper into the cave, guests were told to sign a thick NDA. Clooney refused. Instead of being forced to leave, he was taken to a lounge with glass walls, where he could still watch everything. "What I saw," he said, "still wakes me up at night." He spoke of celebrities, ones America adores, acting in ways that defied humanity. The nuggets weren't treated as guests. They were passed around, paraded like props. When the judge asked if Clooney ever participated, he answered firmly, "No, not once." He said he left as soon as he could. But that wasn't the end. More invitations came, different locations, always connected to Diddy. Clooney said he began to feel the cost of refusal. Calls went unanswered. projects stalled. Directors distanced themselves. No one said it was because of Diddy, he said, but the silence was loud. Eventually, he realized the entire industry moved around invisible levers, and Diddy held some of them. "You don't just walk away," Clooney said. "You walk away from protection. From oxygen." He wasn't the only one. Clooney described a fellow actor, a household name, who'd confided in him after attending one of the cave events. The actor had witnessed something horrific and told the wrong person. A week later, he was accused of a scandal that never happened. Within months, his career collapsed. "They know how to destroy people," Clooney said, "not with violence, but with suggestion, silence, and scandal." He told the court that during that time, he kept a journal. Every phone call, every canceled meeting, every PR firm telling him to distance himself from certain names. He turned the journal over to the court. Then came the moment that changed everything. Clooney said he was scared, not of violence, but of exile. "In Hollywood," he said, "fame is oxygen, and they control the air supply." He described how Diddy would show up at events, whisper in his ear, "Still part of the family, right?" And he'd nod, because he couldn't say no in front of all those cameras. "I didn't do what they did," Clooney said, "but I stayed close, and that haunts me." The prosecutor asked him to name others who were present. Clooney paused. He looked around the room. "I won't name names publicly," he said, "but I will provide a list privately, if the court demands it." The judge nodded. Clooney continued, "These weren't just socialites or has-beens. I saw billionaires, Oscar winners, tech moguls, even a few elected officials." He described the energy of the cave. Masks, robes, NDAs. It wasn't just about indulgence, it was about mutual destruction. "You were seen," he said, "so you couldn't talk." Everyone had dirt on each other. That's what kept the system running. He recounted a lunch with a producer who jokingly referenced nuggets as if it were an inside joke. That's when Clooney realized this wasn't some hidden subculture. It was an institution. People weren't dragged in, he said. They were seduced by promises of power, protection, relevance. Then he spoke of a guest book he once saw, a physical book, a ledger. Everyone who entered signed it. I didn't, but I remember the names above mine, names that would shock America. Then came the envelope, a manila envelope slipped under his door in 2017. No name, no return address, sealed in black wax with the letter P. Clooney was in Lake Como at the time, trying to live quietly. "It was my sanctuary," he said, "but the past always finds its way back." Inside were 6 photographs. Only one was approved for court display. It showed a dimly lit chamber, a stage, celebrities gathered, a single nugget on a red pillow, blindfolded. Clooney's voice broke as he said, "What haunted me wasn't just the image. It was the man sitting closest, someone I'd worked with, someone America idolizes." He didn't name the man aloud, but he handed the photo to the judge. That envelope was his breaking point. He prepared a sworn affidavit, stored evidence in a private vault. "I thought of my wife, my children, what kind of man I'd be if I let this continue." He admitted being approached twice by unknown men, one at a gala, one outside a premiere. They handed him notes. Still watching, he kept them both. When asked if he feared for his life, Clooney said, "Absolutely. But I'm more afraid of what happens if no one talks." He then spoke of a night in 2015, a black invitation. No NDA this time, just a card with the words, "Only the initiated." He wasn't planning to go, but a trusted producer told him, "Everything is changing." So he went. This event felt different, tense, no small talk. Diddy arrived late, dressed in all white, flanked by two silent men in dark glasses. The usual festivities stopped. Diddy raised a glass and said, "Tonight, we prove who belongs." Then came a voice from the red-lit booth above. "Begin the choosing." Clooney described what followed as the most disturbing moment of his life. Participants, some celebrities, some unknowns, were blindfolded, questioned, and removed if they answered wrong. "They didn't come back," Clooney said. "3 people I recognized disappeared from the public eye that month." He tried to leave, but a guard whispered, "Mr. Combs said you should stay. You're on the list." He stayed, silent. "My soul didn't," he said. After that, he vowed never to return. But walking away wasn't enough. "I needed to dismantle the mythology," he said. Clooney described the entertainment industry's protection racket. It wasn't just contracts, it was favors, press coverage, silence. If you played along, your mistakes vanished. If you didn't, so did you. He mentioned a young actor he mentored. The actor said no to an invitation to The Cave. Months later, his agent ghosted him. His show was canceled. Within 6 months, he was teaching drama at a middle school. He was brilliant, Clooney said, but he said no to a silent handshake. He admitted his own guilt. "I stayed quiet. I nodded in the background because I was scared. Not just of losing my career, but of losing myself if I stayed in." For years, Clooney collected evidence, guest lists, receipts, emails. "Not to destroy anyone," he said, "to protect myself." Then he looked toward the cameras. "You all know this industry's broken. Diddy isn't the disease, he's the symptom. The real sickness is silence." Just before the world shut down in 2020, Clooney received another package. No return address, no postage, just his name in cursive. Inside, a flash drive. He played the footage alone in his study. Grainy, black and white security footage from inside the cave. Time-stamped, silent. An overhead camera rotating slowly. Masked figures circled a central stage. A nugget lay still on a red cushion. Then Diddy entered, removed his mask, looked directly into the lens, raised a glass, smiled, whispered something. Clooney couldn't hear the words, but he felt them. He watched the footage again and again. Then he destroyed the drive. "But not before I made copies," he said, "because that wasn't a message. That was a threat." Afterward, he moved his family out of the country, hired private security, turned down major roles. "I went dark," Clooney said, "because when you really say no to the circle, they don't forget you. They remind you." When asked if he feared testifying, Clooney answered calmly, "Of course I do, but I fear silence more. This world we celebrate, it's built on blood." Clooney paused. The courtroom was completely silent. Then he leaned forward, both hands gripping the wooden edge of the witness stand, as if anchoring himself to something real. "I have one last thing to share," he said, voice almost a whisper. "Something that's haunted me since the day it arrived." He explained that in late 2019, right before the world shut down, a package showed up at his Los Angeles home. No return address, no postage, just his name written in delicate cursive. "That was the first red flag," he said. "No one even knew I was back in LA, not even my agent." Inside the box was a flash drive. No note, no label, just data. Clooney said he loaded it onto a secure laptop and watched it. What played was security footage from inside the cave, the same place he'd sworn never to return to. A slow, rotating overhead camera showed the red velvet chamber. Masked figures entered in sequence, and a nugget sat motionless in the center of the circle. Then, Diddy appeared. Clooney's voice dropped further. He walked slowly to the center of the room, removed his mask, and looked directly into the camera. There was no sound on the file, but Clooney swore he saw Diddy speak, softly, calmly, as if he were sending a message to whoever was watching. He knew it was being recorded. He knew it would be sent. The clip ended abruptly. No cuts, no glitches, just one clean piece of footage, documenting a ritual that looked rehearsed. Normal, even. Clooney said he watched it multiple times. Then he destroyed the flash drive. But not before I made copies, he admitted. Because this wasn't for me. It was a warning, a threat. After that, Clooney hired 24/7 private security, moved his children overseas for 6 months, canceled projects, disappeared from public life. I knew then, really knew, that silence wasn't just complicity. It was consent. When the prosecutor asked if he feared retaliation for testifying, Clooney looked around the courtroom one final time. "Yes, I do," he said. "But I'm more afraid of what happens if we all stay quiet." He sat back in the witness chair, visibly shaking, but steady in his words. "If this trial ends with just one man held responsible, then we've failed. This isn't about Diddy. This is about a system, a machine, a culture built on silence, on threats, on unspoken rules." He looked straight at the jury. "I may never make another movie after today. I might lose friends. I might lose everything. But at least I'll have finally told the truth." He paused. "And the truth is, they watched us, they recorded us, and they made sure we knew that they could end us." Clooney leaned forward, his voice now only a whisper. "But monsters only survive in silence. And I'm done being silent." The courtroom was still. No one spoke. No one moved. And for the first time in this entire case, someone had said everything out loud.